The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
To congratulate our own Evan Pasoko on his recent graduation from high school. In addition, we would like to warn the Running Rebels at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada on his pending arrival. Welcome to the LionHeart season finale. Mr. Pasoko, take it away.
Well, now we're all out of order, and I've been surprised by this, so thank you, Sean, and thanks, guys. But we're ready to rock and roll because it is Championship Wednesday evening on the Global Sim Racing channel. It is the final event on the Season 2 campaign, and as well the third of 3 Triple Crown races with the LionHeart IndyCar Series from Fontana, California on the Auto Club Speedway. It is round 18, and the Big Joe Cam 250, and we're glad to have you with us on the Global Sim Racing channel alongside myself, Evan Pasoko. Sean Ambrose has already introduced himself. Our director is Amjad Yaman. Don't talk about mixing it up, Sean. Okay, championship night. We'll get rocking and rolling here. We'll talk about the interesting name behind this one in just a moment, but kind of a bittersweet night. We get to talk about a championship. We get to celebrate it with one of the biggest fields we've seen all year on probably one of the most exciting tracks and exciting races we'll see, but it was last season at this time that it was our first time on with this series on GSRC, so a whole lot of different emotions going on tonight.
Yes, there are, and it's a great night for celebration here at Fontana at Auto Club Speedway. It's going to be a great race tonight. We've got 29 cars checked in right now, ready to roll off here, take a green flag and hit the loud pedal, Evan. 250 miles tonight, 125 laps for this Triple Crown event. And what does Triple Crown mean? We're going double points tonight, which is going to be a big deal for several drivers in this fight tonight. There are still positions to be gained. Third is not locked in. Anybody can grab that spot from 9th up to 3rd, so we're looking forward to this tonight. Lots going to happen, lots to talk about. We've got next season to talk about. We've got wrapping up this season to talk about. We've got a few new faces in the crowd tonight. People basically who joined up here recently and are coming in to race with us tonight. So yes, the Big Joe Cam 250 is going to be a big event tonight, to say the very least, Evan.
So to explain that name, if you tuned in last season at the end of Season 1 where Jesse Vincent had to use a win in this very race to take home that inaugural LionHeart IndyCar Series championship, there was the Big Joe Cam. How this comes about? Well, Big Joe Hassard out there on track. Through the iRacing leagues, you can give people nicknames, like Corey Connor always has the Tiger Stripes on that number 2 Ford-powered machine. His name, Tiger Connor, in the sim. Well, Big Joe Hassard's name is simply Big Joe, and that shows up on the ticker and the information, and it was last year at Auto Club when we went through, Sean, we sat down with the driver, still new to the series, coming on with LionHeart. We talked to a bunch of them, and there was a lot of Big Joe. Big Joe seemed to be the go-to static cam on the night, so to commemorate that and also to kind of celebrate our 1 year mark, 1 season mark per se with this series, it is the Big Joe Cam 250, and yes, the man of the hour is in the sim himself. Joe Hassard, however, he's 25th. That's something that he may want to work on. But we talk about there's a lot to be handed out tonight. Double points, which means that there's a whole lot up for grabs, but the top 2, because the championship was mathematically decided 2 weeks ago, where it was going to be Jesse Vincent going back-to-back in the championship. Now, he'd like to prove any naysayers wrong and make it exciting tonight and maybe double it up and defend that win from 1 year ago right here at Auto Club Speedway. He looks fast as always as he sits 7th in the championship. But the big thing is, Sean, you noted, 3rd through 10th, at least just looking at the top 10. 10th on back still with a lot of drivers all up for grabs, but it's a big deal that if you can't go for the championship, getting a top 3, getting a top 5, getting to the top 10 of the points is no easy task. When you look at the names, you talk about how everybody in the top 10 has started every single race. There's no gimmicks in this series. Double points can help a lot of guys out tonight and also build some momentum going into Season 3 that starts at the latter end of next month, or as well kind of get some of these guys some redemption from some results maybe they haven't liked all that well in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you know what else we have to talk about, Evan? Well, I don't think anybody here that's on iRacing it's a secret to them at this point because they had to download almost half a gig worth of updates. We have a new build to deal with tonight that just was released yesterday. All of these drivers still getting used to the new build. This was supposed to be a night race. We switched it today because the new fixed setup, which we always run a fixed setup here in the LionHeart series, is it changed. So everybody had to adjust, get used to the new setup here. About 24 hours worth of just getting used to the new setup. New tire model. The V6 tire model is out. On this current tire model, we've seen about 10 to 15% degradation on a full fuel run, which is going to be about 30 to 32 laps. 75% fuel tonight as opposed to the regular 60 because it is a Triple Crown race. As usual, there'll be no resets. Again, we talked about this fixed setup, had to switch it last minute. Still only going to run 2 gallons of fuel for qualifying. Always run a single file restarts, which makes for great racing there. Always look for that accordion effect. There is no LCQ in play tonight. No last chance qualify tonight. Everybody is in. Right now looks to be 29 cars getting ready to take to qualifying here. Qualifying has just started. There are 3 drop weeks in this series, and well, I think at this point right now, I think you've got your drop races in because it looks like everybody showed up tonight. But Evan, this is going to be a fast race tonight. These guys are running 33 ones, below 33 ones, but 33 seconds, 33 1 seems to be the time to run. And at 250 miles, I'll let you do the math, sir. That sounds to me like we're going to have a pretty fast sprint to 250 tonight.
Let's talk a little bit about the speedway that we're at tonight. Talked about how we were going to be under the lights. Well, it is a sunny California afternoon here in Fontana, California at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. This racetrack is located in Fontana, has a capacity crowd of 68,000 and has been for the last couple of years host to the season finale event in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Going to be a little bit earlier on in their schedule on this 2015 campaign, but still a staple with the BAV TV 500. It's owned and operated by the International Speedway Corporation. Not that old of a facility, opened just back in 1997 for a pretty penny of $100 million. It hosts NASCAR action from the Sprint Cup Series to the Xfinity Series as well, AMA Superbikes, and then Verizon IndyCar as well. But the racetrack itself, which is really going to make the difference here with these 29 even plus cars here doing 220 plus miles an hour, is the fact that not only is it long, it's a 2-mile D-shaped oval, it's got 4 turns, but 14 degrees of banking. It is very wide, though. You take a look into the corners, you see a couple of seams, and normally we'll talk about Sean maybe, when referring to people's lines. Okay, he'll be on that first seam or the second seam. It's about 4 or 5 of them. There is a lot of room, but there's a sweet spot that some of these drivers have been able to find with this new build. Not only have things changed with that tire model, but as we like to say, the push is real. Well, that has been amplified into tonight's race. Really have to work on that aero push. The cars are a lot tighter in the 24 hours or so that these drivers have had the ability to do some practice with in these machines. There's a lot of room to play with, but there's only one spot really where people want to get to, and if you can figure it out, we've seen some pretty wicked speeds. Qualifying still going underway right now. Do want to note that the fastest time in practice was Marco Brazil's number 12 machine with a 32.840, way up there below the 33-second mark. Right now, Jesse Vincent on provisional pole with 1 minute left in this closed 2-lap single-car qualifier, about to get the show going.
And man, it's going to get going. It's going to get going. It's going to get going quick. This is going to be just a wonderful event tonight, man. We've got so many things at stake here tonight. As we talked about, that points battle from 3rd back to 10th is one to really keep an eye on. George Gonzalo gets himself into the top 10 last week after Kansas and looks to try and get a few more spots if he can. Important is the 20th spot, and that spot is up for grab as well. 20th, the top 20 drivers lock themselves in for next season, so be watching that 20th spot, who transfers into that spot before the end of the night. So lots at stake as we keep talking about. Again, just a reminder, 75% fuel tonight. So here at this track, 2 miles long, we're looking at about 32 lap window. I expect to see some green flag pit stops tonight. Lots of room to get in the pits, lots of room to get off of the pits. You'll have to do it on the back stretch. Another thing to watch out for is that apron down the front stretch. That is not in play tonight. It's in play for qualifying. You'll see a lot of drivers getting down there, but during the race, the apron is not in play. I believe someone said except for the last lap. So I don't know. We'll see how that works out. Maybe that won't be the deciding factor in the race, but it certainly could be before this thing is over, Evan.
Seems that the rules always tend to bend and twist a little bit when you dangle a checkered flag at the end of that straightaway. We're going to run it down now through the Global Sim Racing Channel starting grid for the season finale and a Season 2 championship with the LionHeart IndyCar Series on GSRC. Pole position goes to the man who's looking to go back-to-back in this race, who's already gone back-to-back in the championship. Jesse Vincent's Team Nailed It machine going to start on pole position with a 33.103. Top of the pile. Alongside him, Dan Guerin will start in second in the number 8 machine. Trevor Malone will start in third. Fourth position is Tony Lurcock, and P5 on the inside of row 3, the 777 of Austin Espity.
Yeah, and Jack Bogan starts that number 20 machine, the iRace for Gage machine, in 6th tonight. Great qualifying run for Jack. Big Joe Cam 250 in the number 11, starts 7th tonight. Tiger Connor is in the in 8th spot tonight in number 2. Justin Laxton from Overdrive Graphics in the number 9. He is starting in 9th place in number 53. Pierre Deigel with a top 10 start tonight. He'll be there in 10th spot in the number 14, Evan.
Marco Brazil, your fastest car in the practice session, going to take the 812 Chevy in the number 11 spot. Outside him in 12th going to be Rick Music. Jake Wright, one of the names to mention tonight and one of the names to keep an eye on. We'll go through some of the drivers to watch a little bit later on in the evening as the race progresses. That number 27 starts in 13th. 14th position going to go to the 82. That's the Sim Posters entry of John Downing and Jason Robarge in 15th.
And in 16th, Peter Edwins in the number 16, being a good start for Peter tonight. He's new to the league. Michael Gray in the 888 starts 17th tonight. George Gonzalo, I don't know that he got quite the qualifying time he was looking for, but he'll start 18th tonight at number 6. Chris Lanini in the number 92 will start 19th tonight. And Adam Plunkett rounds out the top 20th spot for the 100 of Adam Plunkett.
21st on the grid to Alfred Shepard. That car is not on track. 22nd is Joshua Borje-Bonkowski. Robert Blewin in 23rd. 24th to Kristen Elson. Vincent Bluthenthal 25th. Final 2 cars but down to time in practice. Mark Nobert's 83 is 26th. 27th is Rudy Avalon. And drivers at the back of the pile on provisionals. 28th is Leandro Matos. And Ian Adams will take the 3 car off in 29th. So 27 put down a time. Looks like 28 of them are out on the racetrack, and we get sent to get the season finale kicked off in Southern California. It's a bright sunny day, and we're ready for some speed. As always, the LionHeart IndyCar Series is presented in part by Overdrive Graphics and Sim Posters, making this possible on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're glad to have you with us. Buckle up. The Big Joe Cam 250 is green at a quarter number 4. And they spread them out already. 3 wide just outside of the top 5 down to quarter number 1. But old Jesse Vincent up at the front of the field. Dan Guerin, meanwhile, in a dogfight. 4P2 with Trevor Malone. They cycle at a quarter 2, already over 205.
Ian Adams already making his way through the fields. Picked up 6 spots. He's coming. Back of the field, spread out, looking good.
Everybody buying for some real estate. Some drivers dove to the bottom, down the back straightaway. Now everybody fans out down the front stretch, trying to get in line, get a run, and then do something with it. Single file inside of the top 7. They battle from there on out with this new setup. How difficult it is to drive these tight race cars. A lot can happen. You can get spread out a lot quicker. Restarts, therefore, going to be at a premium tonight. You see the top 3 go at it. Jesse Vincent in control to the high side. Dan Guerin with the charge. Austin Espity going to go to the inside on him. They fight for second, as well a lot more through the pack.
Yeah, Ian Adams still making his way up. We got a nice battle going on between George Gonzalo and that looks to be John Downing up there in front of him. I'm sorry, that was Adam Plunkett there in front of George. George fighting pretty hard, gets a little bit of a run there, almost up to the wall, had to back out a bit. We're starting to see already these cars starting to get a little pushy, seeing that push, taking them up to the wall and having to back out of the throttle lever. It's a tricky proposition.
And it might be good news that they start to spread out over a run, because as those tires get some more wear, that is only going to get worse and more difficult to deal with. They continue to fight inside of the top 5, going high and going low. This time to the bottom, Austin Espity still trying to make something work in that 777. Up high is still Dan Guerin. Close call out of 4 as the 777 slid up just a little bit, but so far nobody able to get to Jesse Vincent quite yet. They're behind him, but nobody throwing a move on him, at least at this stage in the race.
Caution's out, Evan.
And big trouble. They're still wrecking at a quarter 4. It started with one of our top 5, and now everybody piles into it. Big melee out of quarter number 4, and it's with a couple of drivers that we just said had a close call in 2. You see the replay. Austin Espity up the hill, gets into Dan Guerin, and from there on out, good luck slowing down from 215 miles an hour. A lot of contact out of the corner, and then a lot of them were fine, but some guys had to get way on the brake. Sean up right behind that wreck, and there were people behind still trying to scoot through. They couldn't see through the smoke, and it went from a 2-car, 3-car incident to take it out almost a handful of them out of a quarter. A lot of drivers getting some sort of damage, and that one, the big one, striking early on lap 4 at a corner 4.
Boy, it sure did, and man, that was that took out a lot of cars. In fact, I already see Rick Music has climbed out of his car and he has left the room. Obviously, that must have been some pretty bad damage on his car. He did take a pretty hard hit there. With no resets here, this is going to be obviously this is going to end the race for a lot of these guys here. Unfortunate time for that to happen. I didn't think we'd see it that early, but close racing, early on in this race, and that's what happens.
A little bit of confusion on what the pit road strategy was going to be. Jesse Vincent stays out. Tony Lurcock, who started this race in 4th position, was up at 2nd at one point there, had to drop back, letting a couple cars by. He comes to the pit lane. So kind of an unorthodox pit cycle there, but we do have a couple of people on the pit lane, excluding the drivers that are in for obvious service, and some of them you mentioned, Rick Music, already out of this race. But Jesse Vincent stays out. Joe Hassert 2nd, and we talked about that machine in the practice session before we hit qual right at the top of the broadcast. So they were 25th. Well, they have found some significant improvements in that regard, but in the same retrospect, we've seen a couple of drivers that did not. One name that you mentioned was George Anzaldo, 3rd fastest in practice, qualified in 18th. But how about Ian Adams so far? One of the other Team Nailed It entries, started 29th, already up 19 positions to a top 10 spot.
Yeah, well, Ian, I think Ian had a quick disconnection there before we got started in qualifying. Came back a little bit late. I don't think he had time to put down a qualifying run, so I don't think it was strategy. I think it was really just something that happened to him. He had a connection failure and was able to get back in time. But it does look like right now that has benefited the number 3 machine. He finds himself in 10th place now. Managed to avoid all that carnage, and car looking great now.
The pace car already down and away. Very quick caution cycle there that time. Green flag now flies back underway just 2 laps after the incident. Coming over to take lap 7 is Jesse Vincent. The number 1 machine sits P1 right now. They side by side behind him, Joe Hassert and Corey Connor. But because of these single file restarts, a lot more spread out this time through 1 and 2 than on the initial start.
Yeah, the back of the field's just now coming out of 2. So, we're definitely spread out on this run here. Ian already to the inside of George Anzalo there, going into 3. And is he going to pull it off? It looks like Ian Adams is going to take that 9th spot away from George Anzalo here on lap 7.
And a lot of 2-car battles throughout the pack. We got 2 of them side by side that take up the top 4. Race leader Jesse Vincent still with that preferred lower groove. Has the gap. Big Joe Hassert went up to the outside on him, and it looks like now Justin Laxton moving forward in the Overdrive graphics machine. Started 9th up to 4th right now. Gonna make a move for 3rd, and Joe Hassert gonna get the inside. He'll get the spot on Jesse Vincent down low. and clear. And for the first time tonight, a change for the race lead. What does the one machine do to counteract? He'll stay high, drive up alongside the number 11, but that time at the start-finish line, one in the bank for the man of the hour. Big Joe Hassert leads the Big Joe Cam, 250, 9 laps in.
Looking pretty racy back here. Michael Gray trying to get to Ian Adams. Ian got around him and George pretty easily there. Mark Nobert back here fighting with Josh Bonkowski. And in that mix, Tony Lurcock trying to make up positions as well. Lots of good battles going on back here. Lurcock right now, the one trying to make the big move as they head out of 4. He is on the inside.
And the inside, as we had seen at a couple of these oval tracks so far on this year, very, very preferred lane, I guess. That's really where you want to be. We talked about how tight these race cars are. Not a whole lot of people sailing them off into the quarter quite yet. The top 2, though, they're playing nice, at least at the moment. Earlier on, when Jesse Vincent had about 3-4 cars on the back of his gearbox there, Sean, he was protecting that inside. He was running the middle down the back straightaway. This time, he just runs the high side, and they're swapping it out. So Jesse Vincent went back to the top spot the last time by. Now Joe Hassert could lead a lap once again, and they continue to go side by side, actually opening up a little bit of a gap over third on back. That's Corey Connor, 5/10 off with Justin Laxton right behind him. But again, you can see how much more spread out we are. The top 10 have 3.5 seconds of separation and growing. But in that respect, we now have a good battle on the racetrack for P11. Michael Gray fighting with Joshua Borje Bonkowski, and then Mark Nobert and Rudy Avalon fighting all of this in 3 and 4.
Okay, let's take a look at who we lost after that first yellow flag there. Jack Bogan is out. Rick Music is out. Dan Guerin, last week's winner, is out. Peter Edwins is out. Austin Espity making his return. He is out. And Marco Brazil is out of the race. That was pretty costly. 6 cars right there off the top. Trevor Malone, first car 2 laps down. He is back out there, and he is running not quite up to full speed. Doesn't have anybody to work with. He's 2 laps down all by himself out there. But Trevor is going to be the first person eligible for a lucky dog when we get the next caution.
And Brazil was the fastest car in practice, so a tough hit in regards to one of possibly the big players in this race. So we talked about how Joe Hassert, Jesse Vincent swapping it out. Well, Corey Connor was able to catch that number 1 machine, and you see a little bit of a gap that 11 has. Nothing to get all that comfortable about, just half a second, but they do fight for second. Down into quarter number 3, Vincent going to take it back down low. Justin Laxton not getting all that rough and dirty with these guys. He's already gained 5 spots, sitting patiently in 4th just behind them as he traces them down the front straightaway at a speed that he'll top off at 224 miles an hour. Down into quarter number 1. High speeds that these guys are running, and they don't get much lower than 210 in the middle of the quarter and off. So you do have those leaders going at it. That little bit of a fight that we talked about for P11, that is since spread out. A big single file train with about 5 drivers within half a second of each other from 15th through 19th, beginning with Vincent Bluthenthal, who is all over the car in front of him, which is Rudy Avalon. So once one fight single files out, they double them up right behind him. That's just the way that this draft works.
Now, I was mistaken. When they cycled around, John Downing is the first car a lap down. He's actually 1 lap down, so it's going to be Trevor right behind him. John was caught up in that melee there on the yellow flag, and then, like I said, as they cycled around, they put him a lap down. But he's still looking pretty racy, pretty competitive here, as we see the Tony Lurcock machine get just right around him there, and that machine is looking pretty racy. Tony right now up to 9th and having a really solid run so far. The number 42 is running more. He is closing in on Ian Adams, closing the gap every lap here just a little bit. Ian trying to get to the bumper there of Adam Plunkett.
Half of the drivers that started this race inside of the top 10 are out of the race, at least at this point. The other half are still up there. You got Big Joe Hassert leading this race. That number 11 machine started in 7th. Behind him, Corey Connor started in 8th. He's gone up to 2nd. So Hassert and Connor kind of followed each other up through the field. Pole sitter Jesse Vincent sliding back a little bit, no longer in control of the pace of this race. He sits a 2nd off the top spot in 3rd. And then Justin Laxton started 9th. He's in 4th position. Tony Lurcock is the other machine who's 9th. That number 42 rides behind Adam Plunkett and in front of George Ansaldo. He started 4th. He's back to 9th. Big movers, though, still Ian Adams, that 3, really not only benefited from that wreck and getting through it, but as well, he was making moves even before that happened. That machine at this point, 22 spots in the positive, not even 22 laps into this race, up from 29th to 7th. Adam Plunkett, another name that we haven't mentioned yet really tonight, that number 100 machine. Sim posters on board his Honda. Oh well, another driver that's up quite a bit. 12 spots in the positive after starting 20th. He's 8th right now. So a couple of guys who didn't really show a whole lot of wicked speed in practice, about mid-pack. A little bit of a poor qualifying effort. If you got a good race trim and you know how to work the draft, you're showing it right now. Very easily, you can get through the field and try to get something brewing, and that's what we're seeing from the 3 and the 100.
Man, we got a gaggle of cars back here, all fighting for 15th, 16th, 17th, all the way back to 20th position. Mark Nobert really just kind of using up all of the track right now as he's high and then he's up low and he's down low and he's in the middle. Robert Bluen able to pull away from him and catch that next pack of cars in front of him. Bluen looking pretty good right now, up to the 16th, starting in 23rd. Rudy Avalon in this mix, and Trevor Malone stuck right in the middle of all that, just trying to get back on pace with these guys. Finally found some partners, and he's able to do a little bit of drafting. Right now watching Trevor trying to make a move actually on Mark Nobert right now, and right up on his wing and gets right below him as they head over the start-finish line. Trevor Malone still looking awful racy after taking some damage on that first caution flag, Evan.
Do have a swap for position for P8. It was Tony Lurcock who went to the inside on Adam Plunkett, two of the names we were just talking about a moment ago. And it's going to be an attempted crossover out of 2, now back to 3 and 4. Plunkett went down low and didn't quite have enough of a run, only had a front nose in there and backed out of it as the 42 wasn't about to give him a whole lot of room. Drops back in line. They continue to battle for P8, but really other than that, nobody else really fighting right now inside of the top 10. Joe Hazard's opened up a 7/10 of a second gap over Corey Connor, who's a second to the good over Jesse Vincent. Justin Laxton and Jake Wright, all that close together. The Amazon.com number 27 and Jake Wright doing a good job. But again, him like Laxton, they're not really in a rush. They know it's 125 laps. They're pacing themselves, and possibly with that tire degradation that we talked about, maybe trying to save something if this green flag run continues on. But as the battle we've been following for a little bit of time, really it's 15th on back where the most excitement is. Again, get a fight for that spot. Michael Gray had it, and now here comes Robert Bluen to the inside with the 48 machine.
Nice little battle going on here between Blumenthal and Matos too. They keep slingshotting each other, picking up a little bit of ground, opening up the distance between them and John Downing, who we did say is a lap down, but that is the next car to him there, and that is a great battle. Oh,
contact!
And they make contact right there. Blumenthal and Matos both make contact.
Blumenthal up the hill and he hangs on, no problems. He checks the guys up behind him though, but that was exactly like we saw the first incident. However, these guys didn't go around.
Yeah, that was pretty fortunate right there. Nice job by Blumenthal hanging onto that car. He was able to just, I don't know, I didn't see, Evan, did he get just a small piece of the fence there on that?
I think he was able to keep it out of the fence completely. They made the contact coming out of 4, and they went up the hill, but it looks like Vincent Blumenthal was able to keep a good amount of room, and good thing for him, and good heads-up driving on behalf of Chris Lanini to not try to shove it 3 wide. He had a run, but good job by the 92 to back it off, and that way they were single file back down to 1, because although the car might be fine, and sometimes when you get a little bit of contact like that, it can get damaged on, but right after you get hit, you're not totally focused. You're kind of rattled for a split second, so to throw it 3 wide on somebody right away, not the best idea. Look at that. Chris Lanini waited. Now he makes his move to the bottom. The 92 flying down to corner 3, and now he makes the pass. Looking for an update on the Corey Connor machine. That number 2 is currently in the pit road, and again, he was just running up front, but he has some damage, it looks like, on that number 2 car. We'll try to see if he was in an incident. He did. He caught the fence all alone on lap 23 and 4, Sean. Just slid high. He was running behind Big Joe Hazard. Again, he was second place, and he just drove it into the turn 4 wall, and he's got heavy right side damage. That's why he's on the pit lane.
Yes, he does, and the push is real. And got old Tiger Connor there wrapped up in it. He's now gone a lap down. Tough break for Corey tonight, man. It's been feast or famine for Corey all season. We've seen it. We've seen it from the opening race right down to this race here, and as we see, Big Joe's coming in. Just made the call. Big Joe is bringing that number 11 machine in. The Overdrive Graphics number 11 is coming in.
And typically when the leader comes in, he brings a lot of company with him. So as Joe Hassert enters the pit lane, you'll start to see a lot of leaders right behind him, right on his tail, begin to trickle down and get some service of their own. Some of the other names on the pit lane, besides Joe Hassert, you also got Jake Wright. Looks like he's on the pit lane. Tony Lurcock, Vincent Bluthenthal, Pierre Daigle is going to be coming down this next time. So we'll have to keep tabs on where Joe Hassert ends up again. Once they exit the pit lane, they do have to stay on the apron before blending back up at the racetrack down the back straightaway. This puts Jesse Vincent on the top spot, but we'll have to see where Joe Hassert ends up and if he can maintain this lead out of this cycle.
Okay, well, that was a team call because all of the principals there on that was the newly formed No Name Racing team there that all came in for a pit stop there. So I think Joe made the call and everybody followed suit there for the No Name Racing team.
And you'll see that a lot, especially if they're running around each other, because it is faster, although it is a tight car in traffic and behind somebody. Is a little bit faster when you do have a couple of guys with you. Jesse Vincent now going to bring his machine down to the pit lane. He comes in at a corner 4. Not really all that of an aggressive entry, but he gets her down nonetheless. Ian Adams comes in from second, so now George Anzaldo is going to go to the top spot. And again, all of these drivers coming in really, pit stop time in and around 7 seconds. If you don't have any damage, you get it filled up. You get all 4 tires changed at once, and you're off and away. Ian Adams' service has been completed. So after that, number 2 of Corey Connor did come down pit road. His car still is out back on the racetrack now. He did get out from behind the wheel of it for just a moment. They were working on it. He's back on track, but he now sits 3 laps down. Tough break for a driver that was running strong, but as you said, feast or famine, tonight not one of their nights, but they were running really good.
Yeah, they were. George Anzaldo makes his way into the pits now, and we're going to continue to cycle around. Great run for George so far. Started there in 18th. Got up here and led a lap, and they're going to cycle around. He's still going to come out in good shape, but this is right about when we said we'd see these pit stops here, right around lap 30 to 32. Looks like Team No Name Racing is maybe short pitting just a little bit. They've got a little bit of strategy they're working on, and I'm sure if these caution flags fall their way, it will work out for them.
Chris Lanini, who cycled to the top spot, his number 92 Honda started 19th. He is the next driver to come down to the pit lane. That's going to put Leandro Matos out to the top spot. Now the 106 going to lead and pace the field as he works at a quarter number 2. He's got a pretty good gap over Robert Bluen in the Lowe's number 48. Kristen Nelson still yet to come down pit road. We're also waiting on Jason Robars, George Anzaldo, the 6, and then Joe Hassert. Now you're starting to get back to the names that have already completed their service as Joe Hassert cycles up to 6th right now. 23 seconds off of the top spot. That's the differential. Don't think you could even go down the pit lane in that amount of time. So it looks like, though, Jesse Vincent still behind Joe Hassert, and even by a bigger margin than it started. Looks like the 11 set to gain a little bit, assuming this whole cycle's out still green.
Yeah, see a few cars out here pushing it to the very edge, taking that fuel for all it's worth. I think they see the writing on the wall here that we might be under green flag conditions here for quite a while as the field just continues to spend out. Matos is coming in. He's going to yield that first place spot he was running. Robert Bluen right now checking in on him. It looks like Robert's going to stay out on the track. He is definitely maxing that car out on fuel. So right now, I'm sorry, yeah, Robert Bluen, that's right. Robert Bluen pitted under caution, my director reminds me. And so he does have a few extra laps of fuel here. But these guys are going to be on obviously a different strategy. The ones that did pit and didn't have any damage. So they'll have a few more laps to run up front here. But as those cars with fresh tires and full fuel make their way around the track, those cars are going to maybe lose just a few seconds by choosing to stay out on the track there, Evan.
Well, we also mentioned that it was the Team No Name Racing that made a decision to come down. There's also probably a strategy behind it. They've been practicing, and even when we were talking to some of the drivers, they were letting us know, although it can be racy, although these cars are very tight, you do spread out a lot quicker. That's what we're seeing right now with the number 48 out front. So although it's early in the race, you get a caution flag only 4 laps in. You might not be really thinking about pit strategy. You might not be thinking about what marks you need to hit to be able to make it all the way. Always a possibility. That's what has Robert Bluin out front, and if he can stay out for, again, this much more, almost 5-10 laps now that he's been out after our race leader Joe Hassert came in to get the pit stops kicked off, that could become the difference when we get down into the lap 125 range coming to the checkered flag. You never know. Always, that fuel strategy can be a pesky thing, but if you got a game plan from the start, you might be able to take one away. 48 continues to run strong right now. We still wait for him to come down pit road. Kristen Nelson's 25, still up there with him. Those two cars separated by just about 7/10 of a second as they run right now, and then you got a big gap back to Jason Robards. The 64 has just come down the pit lane in the Rainbow Warrior Chevy, so only 2 drivers yet to pit, and then we'll see that 11 machine back out to the top spot. Sounds like the 48 may be in this next lap or so over the team radio.
Jesse Vincent and Justin Laxon side by side for a lap and a half now as they head into turn 1. Still running side by side. Jesse tried to make the move up top there to take that 5th spot away from Justin, but Justin's not having any of it yet. He's fighting hard, and then right behind him, Jake Wright. Jesse does get that spot now. Let's see what Justin does going into turn 3. He's going to fall back just a little bit. Actually, Jesse had a nice run there going into 3, having an even better run coming off of 4. Just hearing Kristen Nelson's going to finally get in and take her pit. Jake Wright back there, and oh, there we go. Justin Laxon making the move down low as they come across the stripe here. Justin Laxon taking that position back.
So Robert Bluin into the pit lane and off. He pitted with John Downey. The first car 1 lap down before all of this. Kristen Nelson got a lap led. Now the 25 is in. And that's all she wrote. Joe Hassert will cycle to the top spot. But this battle that we've been following, which was for about 4th or 5th position, going to become the fight for 2nd. All of those are lead lap cars, and they're packed quite tightly together down the front straightaway. To the inside goes yet again Justin Laxon on Jesse Vincent. And again behind him, Jake Wright, Tony Lurcock. Positions 2nd through 5th going to be, once everything cycles back out on the scoring pylon, fighting at it within a couple of tenths of each other. The more they fight, though, the bigger the big Joe Hassert gap is going to get. The 11 machine all alone right now. He's just running Q lap after Q lap, and he continues to lead in Fontana. Jesse Vincent not having as easy as a job as that 11 machine is up front, hanging on to his spot because, again, he's got that train of Laxton, Wright, and Lurcock right behind him. And yet again, the overdrive graphics entry, the 53, back to the bottom in 1.
Yeah, and Big Joe is enjoying his type of race right now. I know personally that Joe loves the clean air, loves the fresh mountain air there, and he is enjoying that time up front in the Big Joe Cam 250.
Take a look at Ian Adams. At one point was the biggest mover in this race. The number 3 machine had gained 19 plus positions. His car is out of the action after catching the outside wall by himself. Similar to what we saw with Corey Connor. We'll work on getting it up for you. It was lap 38 in quarter 4 for that number 3 machine. Got up into the fence exactly like we saw happen with Corey Connor. Sean came down the pit lane, was unable to slow it up in time. That's a speeding penalty, and with the green flag look on this one, that team pretty much called it quits at that point. One of the biggest movers after passing 22 cars early on, gone just like that. So 2 of the drivers that we've seen inside the top 10, a self-inflicted error, that push. These cars getting so tight, and it's always in quarter 4. We've seen 2 incidents, one of them resulting in a big wreck, and now 2 self-incidents into the fence, at least that we've actually caught, that have caused trouble for these guys down in corner 4, struggling with the handling on these race cars.
Little surprised to see 2-time Indy 500 winner Ian Adams duck out of the race so quickly there. Maybe he just had a little bit more damage that just couldn't be repaired. I'm not sure. Didn't look like he got too much of the wall, but it did rifle him right back across the track and down into the pit lane. I don't know, maybe that car was just a little bit too bent up to continue, but a real shame to see Ian Adams already out of this race right now. Now, the first car right now we have a lap down is Josh Bonkowski. So you know he is right now hoping for a caution here at any point. But, man, I wish him a lot of luck right now with the way this field is spread out. I don't know. Right now we have drivers out here driving against the track. It's them against the track. And, you know, that's a good situation when, you know, when you're leading this race, because you know you can just continue to cruise and open it up. So Big Joe feeling pretty comfortable up there, almost 5 seconds up on Justin Laxton right now.
And good news as well for that 11 is he can really take it a lot more easy than the Jesse Vincent, Jake Wrights, and Tony Lurcocks of the lead lap cars, because again, we talk about how they're fighting with each other. That means that they are as well dealing with that aerodynamic push from being behind somebody, so they're always on their toes, especially, not only that, but you're going 220 miles an hour side by side with a lot of these guys. Joe Hassert really doesn't have to deal with that right now. There's not some lap traffic for just a little bit. He's going to be catching Mark Nobert in a little while, and Nobert's machine, last car in the lead lap, had a rough time there through 1 and 2, so he'll get him very quickly. It's until we really start to get a green flag stretch going, the more cars you begin to lap, Sean, the faster guys you start to catch up to, a little bit more difficulty it is getting around them. And we've seen time and time again in situations in IndyCar where race leader trying to get around some lap traffic, very easy to lose that concentration after you've just kind of been in a rhythm, just doing your thing all alone. You kind of forget to account for that little bit of difference that you're going to feel in the air and have some issues. No issue though that time for the 11. He gets around Mark Nobert, puts the 83 a lap down, and that puts Vincent Blumenthal on the chopping block. The 72 now goes to the last spot on the lead lap. He runs 16th.
You know what? I got to correct myself. I called Ian Adams a two-time Indy 500 winner. I actually got the curse of the black and green cars bit me. That was Pierre Deigel, who recently won 2 Indy 500s. Ian ran well, but he didn't win. So my mistake. Again, still ashamed to see Ian out of the race this early. But looking in on Pierre Deigel right now, running 6th right now. Got Tony Lurcock in his sights, wants to make a move on him. He's just got to get there to do it. Has a bit of his draft, but Tony looking pretty strong right now, and he's really locked in on the Jake Wright machine just in front of him. Again, that is still quite a battle going on right there, 3rd back to 6th.
Justin Laxton, after taking over P2, has been able to pull away from Jesse Vincent. That now a 1 second gap between 2nd and 3rd, and the gap not only between him and Vincent growing, but the gap between him and your race leader is shrinking. At one point was about 5 seconds. 4.0 the differential the last time by. Justin Laxton's Overdrive Graphics number 53 Chevrolet with a 33.524 to a 33.689 the last time by for Joe Hassert. Hassert is working through lap traffic. That may be slowing him down a little bit as well. Justin Laxton, a little bit more clean air. Half a second though the last time by. Hassert running a 34 flat to a 33.5 for Justin Laxton. Close it in about 1.5 seconds, Sean, in the last 10 laps. If we stay green here, he might be able to catch him. But one of the big advantages that Joe Hassert had over everybody else, he was a little bit more aggressive hitting the pit lane. He gave himself 2 seconds or so just from that cycle alone. So though Justin Laxton doing good on the racetrack, he can see that 11 in front of him and can kind of get an idea on how close or how far he is. Picks up another 10th that next time by. If you want to keep that momentum going and you want to keep applying the pressure, you got to execute on the pit lane. And really, although he just got done with green flag pit stops, not all that far away from the second trip down.
Not all that far away either from the halfway point in this race. As we talk about that rhythm and these guys getting into it, well, that rhythm has led us now. We're getting ready to click off here lap number 49 in this event. As we did, we're just going across the line at 49. We are almost to the halfway point, and yeah, caution flags are going to be happening here soon. I'm sorry, not caution flags, but pit stops. I'm all tongue-tied tonight, Evan. But Big Joe remains your leader. He is fighting through this traffic and doing it pretty well. Not seeming to close the gap on Blumenthal that much right now. I think Joe's just out there taking it easy. Might even be trying to conserve just a little bit of fuel, Evan. Might be part of that bigger strategy.
Well, it's a tale of 2 different songs for drivers that have been fast so far this week at Auto Club Speedway in the 2 practice races that were officially sanctioned by the series in between the Kansas Speedway event for round 17 1 week ago. And tonight, Joe Hassert took home a checkered flag as well as Ian Adams. Well, Adams, so far we have seen, not the best luck for that team so far, and well, they're out of the event. So Joe Hassert, on the other hand, doing what he had done all week, and that is leading right now. Do have a car from the lead lap coming into the pit lane. Here comes Tony Lurcock in after running up inside of P6, the 42 down pit lane on lap 51. Not in a spot yet, but they'd be able to make it on one stop, so at least 2 more trips down pit lane for that team. But he is in, and looks like a little bit of right side damage. The team took a look back, but he's back out.
Yeah, just a little bit of damage on that Mario Kart machine, but I think Tony's still in a pretty good spot here. He's still been really racy, so good things going to probably still happen for Tony as we see him get ready to make his way back onto the backstretch here. He's blending in as cars are making their way around him, but he is definitely the first domino to fall on this next round of pit stops, Evan.
And it was Joe Hassard who kicked the last set of pit stops off, the only one we've seen so far tonight. Again, typically the short pit comes from somebody trying to just make something work, somebody who's not having a lot of success, or they're fast but they need something to go their way to get something going. Not the case that last time. Joe Hassard, who leads right now, Radioactive is starting to get going again because these drivers up on the team radios starting to chat, starting to strategize about some pit stops. The 11 not coming down this time by, but wouldn't be so sure if everybody else on the lead lap stays out because chatter starting to heat up as we close in just now past the lap 50 mark. You mentioned it, just about 10 laps away now from halfway home.
And Laxton is catching Big Joe. I don't know if this is by design. They're working together on something here, but Joe, again, having to contend with that. Oh, here we go. Joe just made the call. He's coming in. And Jesse Vincent's following him in. Laxton's following him in. All these guys are making their call. So we see our leaders coming into the pits now.
And how hard do you drive it in? Joe Hassard, clean entry, and a clean entry as well. But you see Justin Laxton a lot more aggressive on the entry. That is what everybody else was lacking on the first cycle of green flag pit stops. Joe Hassard schooled him and doubled his gap out of the first cycle of pit stops. Look how close that 53 is now on the pit lane as well, right behind him. Jesse Vincent right in that mix, also on the pit lane, right behind him. Jake Wright, one of the favorites coming into tonight's event. He puts that number 27 Honda up on the jack. Joe Hassard into his stall for service. Out and away they go. Justin Laxton, same song and dance. Those drivers fuel and off, filling it up, 75% fuel cell. They leave the pit lane. The big advantage that Joe Hassard is going to have is he can start getting up the speed a lot before Justin Laxton can off the corner, and I think that's where Hassard's going to gain a little bit more as they cycle back up, and they'll blend back up with the racetrack at it too. So a great job by that 53 in, with Joe Hassard clearly with the upper hand out.
You know, Evan, hard to believe here that we're already at the season finale. It seems just like last week we were kicking this thing off to start the season for Season 2 here with the LionHeart Racing Series. Just a really great event so far. You know, it's funny. It took that one yellow and a little bit of carnage there, and everybody has settled down and said, "Oh, I better watch out here. I got a lot of laps to get in here, and I want to finish this race." There are, you know, as we talked about earlier, there are lots of championship points at stake tonight. The championship is not decided. Third all the way back through 10th. Locking in the top 20 is also important, and that's not decided either. So very competitive event going on right now as we see him continue to cycle through these pit stops. George Anzaldo, our leader, is now in the pits. So he is making that stop in now, going to get those 4 fresh tires and fuel and get his butt back out there on the track.
So he brings his number 6 machine down into the pit lane for service, and they're going to get some work done on that machine, fuel tires, and then getting back off. That puts Chris Lanini to the top spot in the number 92 machine. He is now up in front of the field, and you know, the season finale event in a way, Sean, kind of like the season opener, to the point where, you know, there are spots in the points that aren't up for grabs. The main one, obviously, the championship decided 2 weeks ago as Chris Lanini comes in from the top spot to come down the pit lane. He'll hand things off to Leandro Matos, assuming the 106 does not come down pit lane. So there's that factor that points are a factor for, you said, 3rd through 10th position, the top 10. Everybody wants to have a flashy number to say you finished. Momentum going to the next season. Top 20 as well, very essential if you don't want to have to go or go home for next season's events for every single one. Get that top 20 in points, but as well, it's the last event. You want to give it a little bit more, and you might try something that you wouldn't normally to get that job done. Just trying to give it a little bit more because it is quite a prestigious event.
Yeah, including pushing these fuel runs just as deep as you can. So, as we see Matos continue to stay out on the track, and he's going to pick up his bonus point for being out here. Matos well out of the chase for any points contention. Hasn't been at a whole lot of these races this season, but his car looking really good right now after starting in 28th. You got to tip your hat to him there. He is up in first, and right now looks like he's slowing down just a little bit as we see the Jorge Bonkowski up outside of him right now, and that's a good little battle going on right there as well. But it looks like he might be slowing down for a pit stop here in a moment. The Matos machine.
So Joshua Jorge Bonkowski unlaps himself by 1 by passing the current race leader. He'll go from 2 laps and a negative to 1. He rides in 19th position after starting in 22nd. But you can see how significantly slower a car is out there on those old tires, being that number 106 machine, really trying to stretch things as far as how long he can go on this fuel run, and who knows, that could put him in a spot to really make some noise late in the going. Versus a guy like Bonkowski, who is laps down, but on the fresh tires, you really just saw how quickly he blew by that number 106 machine, and Matos continues to stay out. We expect this. We saw that on the first run, but eventually, if you stay out this much more than everybody else, and really that core group at the top 5, top 10 that we've been talking about all race long that have really already all completed their service. Again, Joe Hazard sits 4th right now, and that's with a complete pit stop cycle less than Leandro Matos, who still needs to come down pit road. Eventually, that number may add up to the point where some of these guys might think they can make it on one stop short entirely compared to some of the other ones, almost getting 2 different fuel strategies in play. Matos continues to lead, but you might stay out. You save time in that regard, chomping on those fast tires, those brand new Firestones. You're quick as well. And again, Joe Hazard, he's only 7 seconds behind people that have run strong, and that's including the 30-35 seconds of pit stops, not mentioned getting down to speed and getting back up to speed.
Yeah, and Joe's closing fast on Jason Robarge right now. In fact, Robarge dips to the inside there kind of erratically a little bit, but he gets to the inside, lets Joe get by free. Joe working with the clean air again where he wants to be, and Matos is out. Matos is in, and Robert Bluen decides to stay out there. But Matos finally getting down to the pit lane, gets that car in clean. Looks like he got it to the pit lane speed there at the cone. He is in his box and a little bit too far forward. Matos, costly mistake, has to back it up.
And as Matos pitted, so did Jason Robarge, just as that DuPont Automotive finishes Rainbow Warrior Chevy came down to the pit lane. He came down, locked him up, may have been close to a speeding penalty. He gets service done on his machine and exits his box, looks like in a normal pit stop fashion. So now Robert Bluen out to the top spot, the number 48 Lowe's machine, pacing the field at the moment. He is the only driver yet to come down pit road on this second cycle of pit stops. He started 23rd after being 23rd in practice, leads right now. Bonus points looking good up front, but again, Joe Hazard kind of doing what Justin Laxton was doing to himself right there before the pit stops, and that is just closing in without any other factors. Neither of these guys really are drafting in and around anybody. He's just catching them from sheer speed, and that's a combination of the tires, but as well as you talked about how Joe Hazard, he has a win in a practice race so far this week. He knows what he's doing. He knows that sweet spot, that good line to take, and really, he's just executing, and it's Q-lap after Q-lap after Q-lap for that 11 machine, really.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder what Jesse Vincent might be waiting on here at this point. I mean, obviously, we still have a long way to go. We're just past the halfway point of this race, but Jesse Vincent, the defending race winner and our series champion, is sitting back there in 4th place, 10 seconds off the Bluen's in. But Jesse's still a full 6 seconds off the rear wing there of Big Joe. So a lot of work for Jesse still to do, and not much help as he's out there running by himself right now. So he doesn't have anybody to draft with or really work with. He's going to have to hope to catch maybe some of this lap traffic and maybe give himself an opportunity to make up a little bit of time on Joe. But it's going to be tough. John Downing bringing that car in now too. So still have guys cycling through that second green flag pit stop here, and here we are at lap 67. A lot of work left to do. We've got 125 laps to get through tonight, so you're still going to see at least one more pit stop for most of these drivers out here on the track tonight.
And although we are more than halfway home, this race is still far from over. Second cycle of green flag pit stops has been completed, and it is still the double one machine. The 11 of Joe Hassert leads the Big Joe Camp 250 in Fontana. You're watching GSRC's coverage of the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Past halfway home in the Season 2 Championship. We'll take this brief moment to step away for a moment. We'll be back at the virtual Auto Club Speedway momentarily. Back live at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway, high atop the front straightaway in the GSRC broadcast booth, and pit stops yet again back underway, and they're kicked off by our race leader, the Nike Overdrive Graphics number 11. Joe Hassert comes in from the top spot. 4 more Firestone slicks back out on track, and a full fuel cell to which we allow it, which is 75%. He completes his service. As well, coming down to the pit lane is Justin Laxton. That machine has already pitted. George Anzaldo, Chris Lanini, and Adam Plunkett, to name a few, are the drivers that have stayed out. But what, Sean, 10 laps ago, we finished with the green flag pit stops. Now already back in it. Telling you, those guys staying out, that's slowly starting to add up.
Yeah, and you know, that was only about a 22-lap run there for Hassert on that stint right there. So interesting little strategy he's playing here right now. I mean, he can't make it to the end. There's no way he can run 45 laps to the end of this race. So he's going to need one more pit stop. I don't know. I wonder why he decided to pit so early. I'm not really sure, but again, a pretty different little strategy there by Joe. Hey, one thing about Joe, he is a gambler in real life and in racing, okay? Joe always has a little something up his sleeve, and you never know quite what it is.
Well, he has showed his cards, and now he is putting other guys in a position where they either gotta show up or shut up, because he is making the pit call early and in a spot now where realistically one more stop, you would think. About 45 laps to go this next time by. The 11 fresh out of the pit lane. You got to think that that's going to be doable with one more trip down to the pit lane. But how about some of these other guys? You got Adam Plunkett, the Sim Posters number 100. Great run for that Honda right now. Started 20th. He is leading this race, and Sean, we have seen a lot of names that have struggled these last couple of weeks getting up front, leading laps, albeit on the cycle of pit stops, but great to see that. But not only is the number 100 leading laps because of that, but he's just generally up in the mix. He's going to come down pit lane this time by. He has a 2.7 gap over George Anzaldo, so he'll give that up, and the 6 machine will go to the corner.
Yeah, and you know, Plunkett hasn't really been a regular this season. Honestly, trying to see here right now exactly how many races he's been in, but certainly nice to see him up at the front and competing there. But yeah, you know, again, Plunkett not a real, not a regular every week, but having a nice run tonight, looking good, looking strong out there. As we do continue the cycle of pit stops, Plunkett is now off the pit lane, and George Anzaldo has got himself back up to first place again. George having a great run again after starting in 18th. Lanini almost 4.5 seconds behind him. So George looking pretty strong right now, and I think he's still got a few more laps on that car before he's going to need to bring it in. So George doing a really good job keeping it up front there. In fact, well, no, I don't think he can make it either. He is going to need he's going to need to come in, and he's probably still going to need a splash to finish this race.
Well, to put this in perspective, Joe Hassert sits third right now, and the math was easy for us a little bit earlier on, because when Joe Hassert sat in third, that meant that everybody behind him had already pitted. That machine's so good right now, he's passed cars that have yet to make the equal number of pit stops that he has. He's gotten around Krista Nelson, Robert Blue, and some of the names that have yet to come down for service. Justin Laxton is just behind Tim. That's really the next car in line that has already pitted, that Overdrive Graphics machine, on and off of the pit lane just about 5 laps ago or so. So Anzaldo is in the top spot. He's trailed by Chris Lanini. Then it's Joe Hassert mixed in with a lot of lap traffic, which could work in his favor, could work against him, depending on how the guys behind him navigate it. Nonetheless, the number 6 machine does come down the pit lane, and Zaldo going to be in for service. Chris Lanini uses the draft off of the back end of the number 82 of John Downing, who is the last car 1 lap down in 16th position, and puts that 92 back on the top of the board for a little bit.
You know, I was talking about Krista Nelson having a pretty good run here when we're on break, and you know, Krista right now, with where she's at in this field, Jack Bogan was ahead of her in 20th in the points, and Krista right now making a solid run to get herself into the top 20 in points and lock herself in for next season. She keeps it up, she is going to find herself, like I said, locked inside that top 20. Hard hit for Jack Bogan tonight, not being able to carry on after that initial caution flag we had, and Krista stands to be the benefactor of that. Mark Nobert back there, as we see Krista coming in Mark Nobert was sitting 24th in points, and certainly he's got a chance to get himself inside that top 20 as well. So, we were talking about Plunkett just a little while ago, and I said how he hadn't run many races. Well, in fact, that is the case. This is only Plunkett's third race this season, Evan.
And not only is it a bad deal for those guys that have wrecked out, obviously Austin Espentin, Dan Guerin, they got together. Everybody else, innocent victims in that, just trying to get through the fire and the flames to survive, and a lot of them caught up as, secondary members of that, which really amplified the number of cars in it. And even with minor damage, I guess the definition of minor damage being the whole car's not junked, but you get suspension damage, you get the side pod beat up. It's not going to do too well at a high-speed track like this, especially on what we were seeing green flag runs. That's why we see a couple of guys continue to fall down and down and down. They're showing the attrition, though, just staying out there and continuing to log those laps, but it is amplified by the fact that this is our third Triple Crown race on the season. So some of the bigger staple races that we've seen so far in the Season 2 campaign, Triple Crown races, double points, and as well some prizes being handed out at the end of them all. Well, double points makes everybody's errors cost just as much, and some of these people's triumphs are going to be that much more beneficial to them. And that's why this point standing, although, you can go into a final race, you can look at the top spot, championship over with, okay, and walk away from that. We've consistently said 3rd through 10th, and then that top 20 as well. Really, 3 through 10, just saying that because that's the single-digit numbers, but all the way, really, 3rd through the end of the bottom of the standings. You see a lot of names that we were just talking about, drivers that we haven't seen a lot, running very strong right now, set to gain a lot, and they're just not all that far away from closing this one out. Chris Lanini yet to come down pit road. The number 92 Honda machine still staying out on the racetrack right now. He'll take lap 90 this time as he hits the pit lane at a quarter number 4. So Joe Hassert going to race into the start-finish line. Might be scoring to 92 on the top of the board on the scoring pylon, but Joe Hassert will go to the top spot, and that time by just 36 laps to go. One more stop, though. You got to execute one more clean trip to pit road, and it looks like almost clear sailing. Don't forget about the possibility either that there is still a chance we see a yellow in this one.
I'll tell you what, there is a chance.
Not to jinx it, but
no, not to jinx it. We don't want to do that. But George Anzaldo is still looking really strong. Battle for 6th place though now going on between Matos and Jesse. Matos. Who is he battling with? He's Lurcock. I'm sorry, I lost track of cars there.
Matos is 6th right now. He's 11.6 seconds off of the top spot. Behind him is Jake Wright, and then behind Wright is Pierre Deigel. So the 27 and the 14, those guys real close together. They're fighting it out for P6, and it looks like Matos has gotten clear of that little bit of a fight.
Yeah, and right now, I'm focused in on Deigel right now. He is got himself in 7th right now, making his way up, trying to get to right now, closing in on him there just a bit. And that is a good little battle going on right there. 3 cars all fighting for that same piece of real estate. And not too far behind them is the Vincent Blumenthal machine, which is a couple laps down, but still pretty racy. So Vincent's still in this thing and still trying to be competitive. And that car does look like it has a bit of a push, though, as it made its way up to the wall. Vincent Blumenthal had to get out of the throttle just a little bit, but he's caught the draft there. And he is making his way up there and almost found his way to the back there of Matos in front of. No, I'm sorry, not Matos. I lost. Just totally lost track of that. I'm sorry, Tony Lurcock, who's also 3 laps down. But right now he is trying to get to his wing there and possibly make a move. But right there in front of him there, that's the fight we're watching. Deigel is making that move to the inside right now.
And Jake C. Wright, who started this race in 13th position in the Amazon.com Honda, was listed in the series race preview as one of the drivers to watch. He's been up inside of the top 5 really after starting outside the top 10 for the majority of this race. He's been able to get around again. We said Leandro Matos was clear of that fight. Well, they reeled him back in quite quickly. So Pierre Deigel now making quick work of him. The 14 going to get around him. So 5th, 6th, and 7th, 3 drivers within 1 second continue to fight things out at a quarter number 2. Other than that, the next closest possible would be for 3rd. Jesse Vincent is 1.3 seconds ahead of Robert Blewett's number 48 Lowe's Home Improvement entry. The 48 has a chance to possibly creep on in and try to make that fight, but as well, Big Joe Hazard and Justin Laxton. Laxton so far has been the only driver to make up significant ground on somebody by themselves. He was doing that a little bit earlier on. Right now, the gap is 3 seconds. We got one driver with trouble on the front straightaway. Vincent Blumenthal, 18th, 2 laps down. He is turned around and in the front straightaway. Grass will show you a replay after he made contact, it looked like, with Leandro Matos. No caution, though, after that trouble down the front.
Yeah, Matos got a little loose coming off the turn there because the rear end stepped out a little bit, and he didn't have anywhere to go, and he caught just a piece of the Matos machine there, and they both get into it, but does not bring out the caution flag, Evan.
That would have been huge if a caution came out, and because a caution didn't come out equally as race impacting, as Joe Hazard leads by 3 seconds over Justin Laxton. Laxton going to be able to make the move on Vincent Blumenthal, who was able to get that Penske entry back going. The Penske Logistics Chevy is back on track, 3 laps down, and is working with a little bit of damage, but nonetheless allows clear passage to Laxton, and still gaining time in that exchange is the number 53. The gap going to go to 2.8 seconds between the top two. Jesse Vincent, though, Sean, only continuing to fall off. You were keeping an eye to see if he was waiting a little bit. Looks like he's just lost touch with that draft and is really fallen off at the top two, and he wants a yellow if he wants to go anywhere forwards.
Yeah, he's struggling to catch those guys right now, and it just, again, doesn't have any help. He's all by himself out there, and with nobody to partner up with and work with, it's going to be impossible to get to those two. As we do see Laxton starting to close the gap on Big Joe, and right now the big question with Big Joe is, with just a little over 25 laps to go, is when is he going to bring that car in? When is he going to make that last stop? Because we all know he needs it. He's going to have to get fuel, and he's going to have to put he doesn't have to put tires on it, but he probably will. The interesting thing right now, like I said, is not if, but when. And it's I'm hearing now Nobert catches a he got a piece of the wall coming out of the turn, and just missed taking that car back down to the pit there. So Nobert now working with a little bit of damage on that right side, and yeah, he is back up to speed though, so it doesn't look like too bad. We'll have to keep an eye on Nobert and make sure that car is still up to speed, but I don't see any damage on it right now, Evan.
And that was the Castrol Edge number 83 machine who caught the fence yet again, quarter 4. If you were a little bit late tuning in, that was the site of the earlier and only caution flag so far. After 2 cars, one on the bottom got tight, slid up. It was Espity and the Dan Garin. Contact and a large wreck ensued. Not only that, there was another time where we saw contact there, and a miraculous save kept everybody somehow pointed the right direction, and you can add Mark Nobert to the list of about 4 or 5 other drivers that have found the fence down in 4 just from being behind somebody. In that 83's case, he was right behind somebody. In other cases, it was a lot bigger of a gap. Nonetheless, quarter 4 continues to be a struggle tonight. Now you see him come down to the pit lane for the final time on the night, we would assume. Big Joe Hazard comes in, the number 11 machine, gives up the top spot. Right at 26 laps to go. Justin Laxton in pit lane right behind him. So is Jesse Vincent. So is Jack Wright, Pierre Deigel, everybody but Adam Plunkett pit. The top 6 in the 100 back to the point.
Yeah, and well, we've seen that. Plunkett running just a little bit different strategy. So, without a caution, I don't know if it's going to pay off for him at this point. But Big Joe with a really nice fast stop. He's already back out, pacing there on the inside. On the apron there, making his way to the backstretch. He's picking up speed, and Big Joe ready to just put his foot on the neck of the field right now. I expect we'll see him pick it up and get a little giddy up in his step here for these remaining laps. But Plunkett is going to need to come in. So is George Gonzalo. Those guys have cycled up to first and second, but Big Joe looking strong. And if he can just keep doing what he's been doing, he could wrap this thing up tonight with a nice big victory in the finale of the Big Joe Cam 250.
How fitting it would be after, again, the name of this race coming from last year's race, which wasn't even won by Joe Hazard. It was Jesse Vincent who came in tonight looking to go back-to-back on that right now. That Ford EcoBoost number 1 machine not looking like it's going to happen, as he has already completed his service, but again, still sits in what would be third position. Kristen Nelson in between him and Justin Laxton, and Joe Hassert on the track right now. 25 still needs to come down to the pit lane one more time tonight to be able to get the fuel to make it the distance. Plunkett can't make it these next 25 laps, so he's out there logging laps, getting some more bonus points possibly in that Sim Posters Honda, who again has really surprised a lot of these guys after starting mid-pack around P20, was 16th in practice, but really turned up the wick after getting through that early wreck, gained a lot of track position, and did not take that opportunity for granted, did not put it to waste, and he runs up front right now. George Anzaldo only 2 seconds behind him. The number 6 machine has been another driver who has cycled up and led quite a few laps in tonight's Big Joe Cam 250 from cycling around on the pit stops. He sits second. Chris Lanini right now is third. 12 seconds off of these top two. The 92 again has been up front on a couple of these rotations, but all eyes on the car that is 17.9 seconds behind the race leader this time, and that is the P4 car of Joe Hassert, who is going to cycle through to the lead, assuming no late race chaos, and should be en route. If not, it's his race to lose at this point. How strong he has been to take home the checkered flag and walk off into the sunset at the end of season 2 and carry that momentum into a possible championship run next season. Doing what he needs to do right now. He can't get the championship. He's 134 points off in second, but what he can do, Sean, and what it looks like he's going to do, is take his third checkered flag on the year. He'll be 20 laps from home this next time by.
And, you know, we talked about George Anzaldo a moment ago. He's got himself up to second. I know, well, actually, no, George is cycling up to first now as you see Plunkett cycle back now, but George put in a lot of laps on the old build, and they released this one yesterday, and poor George was so stressed out because he had to work yesterday, and I know he spent most of today just at the wheel and working on this this new setup and getting familiar with it and driving it here at Fontana, and it has paid off for him. George having a great run tonight. Gonna definitely secure at this point his spot in the top 10, which is I believe going to be just a great result for him. As he was down a few weeks ago when he was outside that top 10. He really wanted to get in and make a strong finish to this season, and so far so good for George Anzaldo in the number 6 machine.
He's up front right now with the LionHeart IndyCar Series Race Chaser online on board of that number 6 Honda-powered Dallara chassis. He leads over Chris Lanini. These two drivers, again, still need to pit. Joe Hassert cycled back up to third after the pit stop from, at time, race leader, who has now cycled down, the likes of Leandro Matos, who was the first car 1 lap down. We got 9 of them on the lead lap, tailed by the 9th place car in 14th of Pierre Deigel. That car started out P10. He's picked up 1, but has not been smooth sailing for a lot of these drivers. And the green flag pit stops and the green flag run right out of a very quick caution. It was also a very short caution flag period, only 2 laps. The lights went off right away. A lot of the drivers were caught off guard. You go right into it. I talked about how we were still catching the pace car, Sean, when pit road opened, so I did note that it was a little bit of a scrambled and kind of miscommunicated first cycle down to the pit lane. You go from that kind of chaos into boom, green flag for over 120 laps nearly. Going to be a 119 lap green flag run if this can go all the way through to the checkered flag. Hard for a lot of drivers to quickly be on their toes and think of the strategy. One driver that did it to perfection, though, is Joe Hassert. He leads over Justin Laxton right now between third and fourth by 3.5 seconds. We have seen Laxton at points in this race close in, but I don't think he'll be able to get that much time caught up in about 15, 16 laps or so, which is what remains on the racetrack right now. So you just got to keep that 11 machine out of the fence and on track.
You know, I don't think George can make it on fuel. I don't. He last pitted at lap 86. But you know, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised he's still out there. I mean, I don't know. I guess he could be saving fuel right now. There is a chance that he can get that car to a finish. Lanini still almost 8 seconds behind him. Joe back there, almost 11 seconds behind him. But man, I just don't know. But George out there picking up good points and still leading this race. So hats off to George Anzaldo. Chris Lanini still, like I said, in second, and George Big Joe Hassert back there in third.
And they continue to stretch it. Not a whole lot of time, though, again, for these drivers if they would try to save fuel between them and Joe Hassert, considering that, again, the 11's been so fast. He's been passing guys, accounting for a 40-second difference because he's made a stop already, one addition to what they have done. So he's really been putting the pressure on. But you talk about somebody who's trying to work a 75% fuel cell, which we put at 30 to 32 laps for 40 without a yellow. I probably wouldn't count on it, and Chris Lanini just now over the radio confirming to his team that he will be down to the pit lane shortly. You have to assume that means George Anzaldo on the same thing, and the 6 just trying to stay out front, hoping for maybe a yellow to throw one last curve into it, but it doesn't look like he's going to get it, and if that 92's coming, I'll put a place bet that that 6 machine's going to have to come down. Also, less than 10 laps to go, and just about 2 or 3 of them this time by. We will take 12 laps to go, and George Anzaldo continues to lead. Joe Hassert's going to catch Chris Lanini if the 92 doesn't pit. He's right behind him.
Having a good run. Yeah, solid. And, we talked about Anzaldo a moment ago. He's still out there, so looks like he's going to push it just as far as he can. Lanini is giving up. He's coming in. He's going to take that pit stop now. So George is still got those guys holding them at bay, and I think he's just going to run it right down to the fumes, to be honest with you. He knows he's got to come in, but I think he's just going to take it as far as he can and hold those dice in his hand and hope that maybe he gets a caution. If he does, he might actually be able to finish this run. Nope, George is in. There we go. All right, so he thought better of it. Took the dice out of his pocket, threw them, and now he's on pit road. Had a nice quick entry there on the pit road, so he is going to pick up a couple of seconds there by that hot entry in. Was able to get that car up to speed. George Anzaldo is now on pit road. Can he stop it there on time? He's in. Nice clean stop.
He'll come in. He won't have to fill her full of fuel, so might be a little bit of a shorter stop than what we've seen all race long, but unfortunately, he was working with a race car that's a little bit tighter than he was used to in practice via the new build. Maybe he was hoping that this sunny California sky would have started raining, and that was something they snuck in on the new build. However, not the case. Stretched it all the way, but came up 10 rotations and 20 miles short. Has to come down pit road, and that puts Joe Hassert back to the lead. That machine will now take over the top spot once again, back in control of this field, in which he started P7 for. Got up front early, challenged with, at that point, race leader Jesse Vincent. Vincent looked like he had this field on lock. Lost the lead. They swapped it out a couple of times. The one machine fell off, and it has never looked in either of those side view mirrors. It has been all Joe Hassert since about the maybe 1/8 mark in this race. He's gone nearly 100 laps and dominated. Only time he hasn't been up front is on the green flag pit cycles. Other than that, it has been all the number 11. He's been dictating the pace of this race. He has less than 10 miles to go to get a third checkered flag and take home the win in the race that his name's on.
What an awful smooth run for Big Joe tonight. He is certainly proven himself to be the class of the field here tonight. But you know what? Laxton is not giving up. He's back there just over 3 seconds, and he's got some cars to work with right now. So Justin, like I said, not giving up. Could still get to him. Is just a little bit faster than him working with these other cars here and working with that draft. So I don't know if Laxton's got enough time. But if Joe was to just slip up a little bit, he might have a shot. So keep an eye on Justin Laxton. This might not be over for him yet. He's got Michael Gray working with him, and it also looks like Chris Lanini is there. And Lanini, of course, trying to just get back on the lap. So Lanini has a lot of work to do. He's got to get himself back around Big Joe to do it. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to pull that off. Lanini might have to just settle being a lot down in this race. It'll still yield him 10th spot, 10th place finish. So, again, great run for him.
Yeah, what that 11 machine does not want to do, and I apologize about the analogy, but he doesn't want to J.R. Hildebrand it into the outside wall, getting around lap traffic. He does have a couple of cars in front of him. They are well out of the way, though, Sean. I don't think they'll become an immediate factor. Leandro Matos would be the next car that he catches. But again, we have seen that aero push goes way back. He'll get 5 laps to go this next time by. can't count it as over. He's led so many laps. You can't lose that focus, even if he doesn't wreck, even if he clips the wall. 3.5 seconds, not a lot of time. The 11 machine just has to keep her on the tracks, and that rail that he has been driving on for the last now 114 or so laps. Just a couple more to go. 5 circuits and 10 miles to a checkered flag for Joe Hassert. The gap remains at 3.5 seconds over Justin Laxton. He's 10.2 to the good over Jesse Vincent, over Jake Wright, Pierre Deigel, Robert Bluen, Adam Plunkett, George Anzaldo, and last car to lead lap, Leandro Matos. This close, just about finishing it. Even if a caution were to fly at this point, this race would end under caution flight conditions after this time by the start-finish line with 4 laps to go. He's got about 2 minutes and change till it's all over.
I'm just shocked at the speed of this race. I can't believe we got that caution so early, and we've
3 wide down the back.
We've managed to go green flag the rest of this race. Just incredible. Now we're seeing this fight here. George Anzaldo caught up in this mess here, and fighting with Plunkett right now. Plunkett and Anzaldo almost make contact right there, and they are fighting hard for that spot. Plunkett in 8th, George in 7th, and they're fighting, and both cars are still close, trying to hold their line and not get into each other. But
he got him!
Oh, and he does, yes. Oh, both cars.
George Anzaldo around into the outside wall. Adam Plunkett hard into the inside wall. Caution flag is out. That is all she wrote. And just as we cut to that battle, they went 3 wide down the back. Now you'll see the contact exact same way we saw the wreck in 4 earlier. Just way too tight for Adam Plunkett, who had impressed all night long. Got into George Anzaldo. Anzaldo was into the outside wall. Plunkett into the inside. Somehow teammate to Adam Plunkett, John Downing, does not get taken out of that. He dives down to the apron to get around it, but caution flag will fly. Joe Hassert takes 2 laps to go, and they'll catch up behind the iRacing.com first Ford Mustang pace car to wrap this one up. It's going to be a total of 120 laps or so there of green flag racing, only 2 yellows, and this one going to end, though, at a slower pace with Joe Hassert on the top of the pile.
Yeah, I think George is going to watch that replay and probably be a little bit disappointed with himself. I mean, he certainly wasn't trying to do it, but it looks like he just turned down that line of his that he was running a little bit, and Plunkett was right there, right outside of him. It doesn't look like it was net code. What's funny is they almost both saved it. They almost both straightened the cars out, Evan, and then it didn't work. And poor George gets up into that outside wall and then takes a pretty hard hit. That car goes for quite a spin, and then Plunkett, of course, we saw head straight down into that inside safer barrier, and he took quite a hit there too as well.
White flag is in the air. 1 more circuit to go. He's got enough fuel. As long as he doesn't get wrecked by anybody who is not all that happy with him, he is good to go. And again, it would be his 3rd win on the year. No wave around, so with 2 cars on the lead lap duking it out and getting together, the total of lead lap cars will fall from 9 to 7, and everybody 1 lap down. A couple of guys 2 laps down, going to pick up 2 spots or so via that incident and move a little bit forward up the final scoring pylon standings when it's all said and done. But a very interesting race, and Joe Hassert just about to close this one out. But a long, probably if not the longest green flag stretch that we had seen all season long, comes at the end. And I'll tell you, the lap before they wrecked it, when they were 3 wide, they were about 3 cars within 2.5 car lengths. That was a great battle at the end. Unfortunately, they both end up in a fence, though.
Yeah, that really was unfortunate. Again, I know George is going to be pretty upset with himself right there. He had a great run going, led a bunch of laps, and is now going to have to settle back there. It looks like maybe in 16th. Well, he's on the pit lane. He's going to probably lose another spot. Could relegate him to maybe 17th, maybe even 18th place. So tough break for him, but great win for Big Joe. Big Joe he had the strong car all night, Evan, and he showed it. And every time he got a chance to get out there in clean air, he was able to stretch his legs. So Jesse Vincent just didn't have anything for him tonight. Neither did Justin Laxton. But hey, good run for all three of those guys to put themselves on the podium. Jake Wright looked like a contender for this race tonight, but couldn't quite pull it off. He's going to come home in fourth, and Pierre Dykman's going to round out the top five there, finishing fifth tonight. Pierre, decent night for him. I'm sure he's not going to go home complaining about finishing fifth in this race.
And the checkers and the yellows have flown. Joe Hassert now powers her back up to 200 miles an hour down the back straightaway for the one season ago. At this point, we called our first checkered flag for the LionHeart IndyCar Series on the Global Sim Racing channel. Tonight, we do it once again to close off what was a spectacular Season 2 championship, and it is going to be none other than Big Joe. Joe Hassert walking away with the win in round 18. The Big Joe Cam 250 from Fontana and the Auto Club Speedway. He blows the engine, so we're not going to see any burnouts in celebration, but as well, with a season-high 11th top 5 on the year, Jesse Vincent in his own right has to celebrate. It was made official, although 2 weeks ago, but he can finally get the hardware as they'll drag that championship stage out onto the Auto Club Speedway front straightaway. Jesse Vincent with an 11th top 5 on the year and 14th top 10. Numbers that a lot of these guys aren't even close to inside the top 10. Another strong performance, albeit he didn't back up last year's win here with another one tonight, but ran strong, another good performance, and your champion comes home with a third.
Yep, I don't think your champion's going to complain about third place. Again, I just don't think anybody had the car to get to Big Joe, to be honest with you. Big Joe just had this track figured out tonight, and he had his own little strategy he was working with, and he made it work, and Justin worked with him on that strategy as well, and, again, a great result for them. Congratulations to Krista Nelson for another great run this week. Following up her great run in Kansas last week, she brings that car home in 10th place tonight. And I'm sure when we go to break, they'll update the points, and we can see where everybody sits on the final tally for the points this season. But Krista may have just worked her way into a top 20 in the final point standings, which will lock her in for next season.
And no burnouts to be had because your race winner blew the engine, celebrated it on a victory lap, and Jesse Vincent is parked along the back straightaway. He waits for them to roll the championship stage out as he's ready to walk away with his second piece of big hardware in his LionHeart career. Your back-to-back champion is Jesse Vincent. Joe Hassert, your winner tonight with his third win on the year, and still a lot more to come from the virtual Auto Club Speedway. We will step away for the final time of the year on the Global Sim Racing channel. Come back in a couple of minutes, talk to our top finishers, talk to our winner, and nonetheless get the official trophy presentation toward your Season 2 champion, Jesse Vincent. We'll step away for a moment. The post-race show from Fontana, California, coming right up on the Global Sim Racing channel. Back live at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. The Global Sim Racing Channel's continuing coverage of the Season 2 Championship with the LionHeart IndyCar Series, concluding tonight with round 18 of 18, the final Triple Crown event, the Big Joe Cam 250, officially now in the books. And none other than the man of the evening, Joe Hassard, who takes home the championship tonight with the checkered flag, and couldn't get her done in the points-wise, but came in and did everything he could in dominating fashion. Your winner tonight, over top of Justin Laxton, who comes home in second. Jesse Vincent, close but no cigar in regards to taking home a win in this event yet again, like he did last season when he needed a checkered flag to steal the championship at the end. Tonight, not quite the same amount of dire stress for that one team. They locked that championship up 2 weeks ago, and tonight they'll officially now be presented with the hardware as Jesse Vincent comes home, not only as a Season 2 champion, but P3 in the standings. Jake Wright with another strong performance. One of the drivers to watch tonight comes home with a fourth. Pierre Deigel closing in late there with a P5 after two of our lead lappers got together late that ended this race under caution flag conditions. Robert Bluen would come home in 6th position ahead of Leandro Matos, whose 106 machine came home last car on the lead lap in 7th. 8th position would go to Chris Lanini. It was Alfred Shepard in 9th, and Kristen Elson walking away with the top 10 and possibly scooting into the top 20 in points when it was all said and done.
Yeah, and coming home in an 11th place tonight, Michael Gray. Not a bad run for Michael Gray. Started in 17th, brings that number 888 home in 11th. Joshua Bonkowski brings the number 193 home in 12th. Mark Noberg finishes 13th tonight. The number 83 machine finishes this race 13th. And John Downing in the number 82 finishes 14th tonight. In 15th, Adam Plunkett. Going to finish right there with George Gonzalo in 16th place. Unfortunate last end of the race there. Incident between both of those guys shuffles them all the way back to 15th and 16th place, respectively. Vincent Pluthenthal is going to finish this race 17th tonight, number 72 machine. Jason Robarge is going to finish 18th. Tony Lurcock, 19th tonight. Tough night for Tony, caught up in some of that damage there and just kind of limped that car around most of the night. Trevor Malone will round out your top 20, 60 laps down. Trevor involved in that early accident tonight, never really was able to get that car back up to speed. Got a little bit of contact with the wall there and then had to shut it down.
Continuing on through what was a great turnout for tonight's season finale event. 21st position comes to Ian Adams after a rough start, was going the right direction. Not the result that 3-team wanted as they finish 88 laps in the rears. 22nd would go to Corey Connor. Ruby Avalon comes home with a 23rd, 24th to Jack Bogan. Rick Music back in 25th position. All of these drivers were involved in the opening incident on the event. 26th position to Dan Guerin. Peter Edwins in 27th. Austin Espity in 28th, and 29th would go to Marco Brazil. The fastest car in practice ends up at the bottom of the scoring pylon and rounds out your 29-car field for what was an exciting and what was a race that was full of strategy and a long 110-plus lap green flag run to the checker. And we've caught up in the pit lane on one of the drivers that almost walked away with it all. Coming down with the driver who finished second place in this one. He started in 9th position, comes home with a P2 tonight. We've caught up in the pit stall of the driver of the 53, Justin Laxton. Justin, you there?
I am.
Well, that was a long one, 125 laps on the board. We knew it was going to be a long distance. Early caution. You guys are thrust back at it on a green flag restart. That was quite a quick yellow flag. Caught a lot of guys off guard, and then you guys didn't really get a break for 110 laps. How'd you make that quick transition? You guys started top 10, P9. You walk away, P2. How was it?
You know, I came into the race tonight, just knew I needed to have a solid finish. It was really just points racing all night long. So, I mean, with that first accident, pretty much everybody I was battling in points took a little dive there. So from there, it was just ride, you know, take advantage of any opportunities we got. And, you know, Jesse and I were kind of playing back and forth a little bit there. And, you know, I don't know what happened to Jesse, if he caught the wall or what, but I just kind of pulled away a little bit. And just my biggest fear was speeding on pit road or, you know, something stupid that I've done all season long. So I'm real happy. I'm tired. My back hurts. My legs hurt. And it was a good race, though.
This new build throws a twist into this, and it was a scheduled build coming out for the season 3. We find out that it comes out the day before the championship race. So a lot of practice obviously goes into this event for you guys. You guys execute because you gained 2 spots and a point. You officially walk away with 3rd in the championship standings, so we want to congratulate you on that. But we switched from a night race to a day race. You got a really, really tight race car. What were some of the biggest challenges that you guys had to work on over these last 24 hours to get the car where you wanted it?
Well, I mean, the thing for me is, I've been real busy this week, and it seems like every time you guys are interviewing me, I've had maybe 10 laps of practice, but I got about 60 laps of practice in right before this race, and for me it was just let's just ride, and I guess I kind of got lucky with the air tonight. There weren't a lot of cars out on track, so there wasn't a lot of pack racing, so it was just kind of hit your line and you were going to be okay, and I was just trying to communicate. I want to thank everybody who was a lap down, who got out of the way, asked what lane I wanted. It was real nice. This series has come so far, me personally too, in this series from the beginning of the season where I could barely keep it on track at Michigan to finish in P2 tonight. We got a lot of great things coming up here for our next season. And I can't wait. I want to go back racing again tomorrow. I don't want this month off.
Yeah, speaking about that, it's not a really long off season, but it is quite different from racing week in and week out. Already, season 2 finished about 20 minutes ago, and you're thinking and we're thinking alike. Get ready for season 3 that starts at the end of next month. You look at your statistics on the year. The highest finishing driver with no wins. Now, you had the 4th most top 5s, you had the 2nd most top 10, so the consistency is there. You end up on the podium in the championship within a field that had, I think it was 59 coming into tonight, 59 different drivers that competed on the year. By no means an easy feat. What do you think is going to be the difference for you guys going forward into next year to add a couple of digits to that win column and maybe get up there in that championship picture and make sure that Jesse doesn't take 3 in a row?
Well, I mean, for us, we got to find victory lane. We got to get a win. I finally have figured out how to finish these Triple Crown races, and that was, the first 2 Triple Crown races. Michigan was my first time in a DW12. I wasn't prepared at all. Indianapolis, I was running well, and then got tangled up with Rick, so I was real happy to see Rick back again tonight. But just got to keep building on this, keep my nose clean, and just keep pushing, keep getting more and more comfortable in these cars and more and more comfortable running up front.
Well, we want to again congratulate you on a top 2 tonight on your podium finish 3rd in the Season 2 championship standings for the LionHeart IndyCar Series, but as well want to thank you and your part in making this series possible for being one of the lead sponsors. Tell us about Overdrive Graphics.
Yeah, Overdrive Graphics, anybody who's on iRacing, come by. We'll get you a paint scheme, get you set up real nice. We're also doing up hero cards for some guys, and next season I'm actually kind of breaking this news. Overdrive Graphics is going to be the presenting sponsor of the LionHeart IndyCar Series, so I'm really, really proud to be able to do that and really happy to be able to get back to this league that's done so much. And if anybody watching the race is interested in the league, LionHeartRacingSeries.com. Go check it out. We're recruiting for season 3 for next season, so by all means apply. Even if you don't make our I-rating requirements or anything, there's always a chance you can practice with us during the season, or we'll find a spot for you. So, and as always, thank you to my wife and to my daughter for letting me get a little break on Wednesday nights and running out here.
Well, you put the time to good use. We want to again thank you, Justin, for taking a moment to talk with us. Thanks for all you do. We look forward to seeing how you guys perform and seeing that Overdrive Graphics title on top of this series going forward. Congratulations on everything in Season 2, and we'll see you in just over a month for Season 3, my friend. Best of luck.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
That is your 2nd place finisher tonight with a P2. Moves up to 3rd in the overall championship standings. Kind of interesting how this order is all going to work out. Your 3rd place finisher in the 2015 Season 2 championship for the LionHeart IndyCar Series is Justin Laxton. Now down to Gatorade Victory Lane here at the Auto Club Speedway. The driver that comes home with his 3rd checkered on the year and who comes home 2nd in the official point standings. Sean Ambrose, you've caught up with Big Joe Hazard.
I have caught up with Big Joe Hassert, the namesake of tonight's race, the Big Joe Cam 250. Joe, is it any real coincidence that you won this thing tonight?
I didn't make it too exciting, did I?
Not really. I want to know. I really answer some questions about your pit strategy because you short pitted it on that first one and then really continue to do the same thing throughout. Was that your strategy going in?
Yeah, getting on those old tires, you lose a lot of time. I knew with that early caution there were guys trying to stretch fuel, but we were gaining so much time on tires last night that as a team we decided we were going to short pit every stop on 25 laps. And there were a couple times where I was going to stretch it a little bit, but I decided I didn't really need to. And every single time I heard Jesse coming into the pits, I was coming in next because I wasn't about to lose any time to him because I knew he was going to try to get that win and put that exclamation on the season. But getting those big long green flag run there, that was the key to this race.
Well, and congratulations! You finished second in the points championship after tonight. Great season for you, Joe. I mean, it's your third win of the season, and what you had 8 top fives, 10 top tens, and just a great season for you, and a great result tonight. Really, no, I don't think. Did you ever feel challenged tonight at any point?
Well, I knew last night that I had an advantage with pit stops. I think I gained about 2 seconds every stop. Once Justin cleared Jesse, he stuck with me pretty much the rest of the race. But yeah, I think just having that pit strategy and nailing every single pit stop helped. I actually had a problem. I did not have control of my keyboard the entire race, so I had to mouse all my black boxes, so that was not fun. Um, so I just tried to set those up as soon as I could, so it was a good thing I had all that clean air, and that really helped.
Yeah, well, I was telling everybody on the broadcast how much you enjoy the clean air. I know you love it up there, so that all worked out for you. Tell us a little bit about what you're working for, looking forward to for next season, and this new team, No Name Racing.
Yeah, No Name Racing, we just pretty much put it together last night. We had, we were kind of getting fed up with Team Nailed It, with dominating the way they have the last few weeks after my old team kind of split up unexpectedly. And I had asked Tony, "Hey, you guys wanna partner up?" And he goes, "Actually, yeah, I've been working with Pierre and Jake and Justin, and we decided to kind of all get together, had a little powwow, over some Facebook Messenger, and kind of put it all together and got 4 cars in the top 5 our first race. So I think next season we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I know HMB Motorsports, they are going to be coming on with John Goke and Dave Judson and Austin. They're going to be tough to race against next year. So looking forward to the competition, and it's going to be a fun season.
Well, who makes it go fast for Joe Hassard? Let's get those shout outs in, Joe.
Well, gotta thank my new teammates. They helped out a lot, running fast, being able to practice good. Overdrive for getting me my new Nike car. I was able to bust out my new victory celebration tonight, so I enjoyed doing that. And thank all the league members for racing and having such a great race and sticking with us the whole season.
So that victory celebration, basically popping the clutch, and popping the motor there, that could get pretty costly.
It can, but thankfully we're racing in a virtual world, and I don't have to buy a new motor every time I do that. I wanted to do something that nobody else does, to kind of, that's my stamp.
Well, we caught it and we thought it was pretty cool, Joe. So congratulations on a big win tonight in the Big Joe Cam 250, the season finale. Looking forward to seeing you in season 3 and continuing this relationship with you all. A great run, great season, Joe. Congratulations. I got to move you out of the way though because I think we're about to crown a champion. Okay, buddy?
I guess.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those team nailed it guys. Sorry. All
Yeah,
right.
I know. He deserves it. He raced hard all year. You know, think the difference between me and him is road courses, and I know I need to work on that. And I'll see if I don't have something for him next season.
All right, Joe. We'll be looking forward to seeing it, buddy. I'm going to hand it back to Evan, and he is going to catch up in the championship circle now with our championship winner there, Jesse Vincent, who also managed to finish 3rd place tonight.
They've rolled the championship stage out here on the front straightaway at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway, and to make the official trophy presentation to your Season 2 champion, I'm going to turn the mic over to Series Administrator George Anzaldo. George, you guys got a copy?
We're here.
Hi, George.
Well, I'll turn it over to you guys, and it looks like you got a nice piece of hardware that Jesse's been wanting for the last, we've been racing for quite some time. He earned it 2 weeks ago, but now he can actually get his hands on it.
Jesse, on behalf of the LionHeart IndyCar Series and our sponsors Overdrive Graphics and Sim Posters, I'd like to congratulate you again on winning the season championship 2015, our 2nd season, and we congratulate you. Great job.
Well, thanks. There's other ways I would have liked to have won it. They're under different circumstances, but, you gotta take it when you can.
And we're going to slide on in Jesse Vincent, officially our champion. You had it locked up when we got to bring the TV cameras back for last week's event at Kansas, but we held off on the celebration. You had to race through the final 2-1s here. Now 18 races in the books, 4 poles, 4 wins, 11 top 5s, and 14 top 10s in the 15 races that were counted. That means that only one time, really, out of the 15 that you got points for, you weren't in the top 10. This team was so strong, but you walk away with the most wins on the year. You almost doubled it up and won yet again here at Auto Club. You guys ran strong. We want to first off congratulate you on your 2nd in a row championship with the LionHeart IndyCar Series. What made this number 1 team so strong that you guys were able to get it done yet again?
Fun. We like to have fun. We haven't focused so much on competition. Yeah, everything we learn, we share with each other, but for the most part, we just kind of went out, had fun, racing around each other, and if you just go out and have fun, then eventually you pick up things and you learn how to race the tracks. So my team was definitely a big part of it this year.
The team nailed it, walks away with the most points accumulated and 6 wins amongst everybody in the team championship standings. We just talked to Justin, we just talked to Joe, who come 3rd and 2nd to you in the championship, and they gave you a lot of props on your skills, really, on the road courses that, they said that they could give it to you maybe on some of the ovals, and you got them on the road courses. You ran strong tonight. You won this event. A lot more stressful 1 season ago at this point to get it, having to get the win, barely squeaking away with it. Again, tonight was a little bit different, but, you run these cars at road courses. You run these cars at ovals, and including tonight, you run these cars through a championship, through different builds. How was the season for you guys all the way from the start, and for the most part, positive thoughts, I would think.
Yeah, I was actually, I was thrilled. At the end of, give me 1 second, I gotta change something here real quick.
I heard the mouse going crazy there on you. You're good.
Yeah, I had my button set to Z and the chat thing was filling up. Yeah, at the end of last year, I'm not a big fan of races where the leader just kind of pins it to the bottom and goes, and everybody else just kind of has to squabble amongst themselves. So I was genuinely pleased at the beginning of this year at a race like Michigan, which historically has been just that, where it really did become a case of, with a new build, at least the one that they had last time, the tire model changed a lot to where degradation was, 4 or 5 times as much as it used to be. So tire management was key. You couldn't pin it to the bottom. If you did, you were going to be in the wall in a couple laps. That helped there. It helped at some other tracks. It kind of made drafting and getting up on somebody kind of tricky, but I think we all figured it out here towards the end.
So you're 2 for 2 so far, and we've already talked to 2 people, and the season hasn't been done for much more than a couple of minutes, and they're already talking about season 3. The schedule has been released. We're going to be at a couple of more races with the TV cameras. There's a couple of new tracks mixed into there as well. So although you want to find a good place to put this trophy, put it next to last year's rather. Next year starts in just about over a month or so with some preseason stuff. You guys got the All-Star race, the preseason Thunder, and then right back to work. You guys just going to keep practicing, and are we expecting Team Nailed It to stick together and come back out strong again next season?
We're definitely sticking together. There's a possibility of us adding somebody else, but I think that kind of depends on, I've got a few things going on which might limit or even keep me from racing next year. But hopefully that's not the case. But if it is, I'm sure I'll fill my spot with somebody else, and I'll try and keep things the nice, friendly way we like it here at Team Nailed It.
You guys, it's fun when you guys are good. You guys were successful. There's a lot of P1 stickers on the back of that number 1 machine, and the biggest one comes tonight. Officially, with your P3 result, you walk away with the Season 2 championship in the LionHeart IndyCar Series. I know we've talked to you. We've done this a couple of times this year. You've been in victory lane. You've been up on the podium. But for the final time, everybody behind the scenes at Team Nailed It, who powers that number 1 machine?
Pretty much all of us, chief amongst which is Jim Crowell, one of my friends from work, with his website, whatiscookingnow.com, not what'scookingnow.com, common misconception, but he provided us with some money for the lovely paints you see on these things. I'd like to thank him, thank the administrators for all they've done. They've definitely been the biggest driving force behind all of this, and, you guys for all you do every week when you're here as well.
Well, we want to thank you not only for taking a moment to talk to us, but putting on a show week in and week out. You got that 2014 champion decal there on the side of that car. We'll be expecting that second one to show up here momentarily. Jesse, again, congratulations on your championship. Enjoy it, and hopefully we see you back out on track for Season 3 next month.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, too. You guys have a good night.
That is your champion with the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Jesse Vincent tops them all by a total tally that racks in at 117 points. Again, 15 races out of the 18 that were counted, 4 poles, 4 wins, 11 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. Also, the lowest incident rate per race. Not a bad stat all that much either. So, once again, we see the same champion, and question now becomes, can anybody knock Jesse Vincent off the top spot going into Season 3? But before we put a closed door on this season, Sean Ambrose, you've caught up to the side of us here on the championship stage once again with George.
Yeah, I wanted to just talk to George real quick. League president and organizer here. Had a wonderful season. Season 2 was competitive and hot, and just a great Season 2. A wonderful relationship here with GSRC. But I know you got a lot of big things to come for Season 3, George. Tell us a little bit about it, and also let's get that reminder out about the recruitment going on, too.
Absolutely, Sean. Well, as you know, we're going to be starting our 3rd season, and we're also going to be having our 1-year anniversary, July 3rd. So we're really excited about that. We're going to have some really fun races going on that week. But, yeah, we're going to be starting up July 22nd. And we're also moving to a paid league. What we're doing is we're going to do a $20 pay-in for the whole season, and we're going to collect all that money and essentially use it to provide more broadcasts and bigger purses and prizes. Currently, right now, we had some payouts through the top 5, as well as the trophies for P1 through 3, and also the award and purse for the Cleanest Driver Award, which also went to Jesse Vincent. So yeah, we're obviously looking to add some more drivers. There are some minor requirements to enter the league, as Justin was describing earlier. But the primary goal is to continue the level of racing that we're producing. I think you saw that tonight with just 2 incidents, 2 cautions. towards the end of the season, the league is just the field size, the depth of this field has just grown and grown, and we're just looking to continue that, and certainly looking to keep pushing forward and hoping eventually one day to have all of our races broadcast here with GSRC. So we've just been so delighted to be working with you guys, and we're certainly looking forward to the start of our next season.
Well, I got to tell you, and I'm probably a little biased because I've been with you every week here, but this is really one of the top oval series in all of iRacing, not just oval, but throwing a few road courses there, and you really have become quickly the premier IndyCar series on iRacing, and I'm sure with the exposure you're getting right now, you're going to be fielding applicants from some of the real cream of the crop there, as they say in iRacing, and I'm sure the line's gonna form to the left, and that LCQ next season is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's correct. We're moving from the traditional short race LCQ to a straight up qualification based on a 2-lap qualifier to fill out the rest of the field. We're gonna lock in the top 20 from this season over the course of the first 4 races to essentially, give back to those drivers that have been with us over the whole course of this season. And with that, I think we're just going to really make this field as strong as it can be. And just speaking generally, also want to thank iRacing News and Race Chaser Online for covering some of our write-ups. We're definitely appreciative of that exposure as well.
Yeah, and that partnership with Race Chaser Online, I'm sorry, that's racechaser.com. I see you've taken them on as a sponsor. That's going to be a really nice relationship there. Getting the league information out there in print and out on the web is a big deal. More exposure for the LionHeart series. And
lastly, I also like to thank Pete Edwins and Jack Bogan for their donations. Their contributions has certainly helped greatly for our 3rd season, and also just like to thank them.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Jack as well. I hope next season's just a little bit. He can get a little bit more luck next week or next season. Great guy and great competitor. Just didn't have a whole lot of luck this season. Didn't have it again tonight, but we'll see more of Jack, and really looking forward to seeing him and Pete on the track next season. George, thanks again for everything. Really looking forward to getting back with you guys on July 22nd. In the meantime, I think before that, we've got an all-star event coming up and a picture day, right?
Yeah, that's correct. What Justin is going to be doing from Overdrive is actually going to create a spotter's guide, which we'll put up on the website, and we'll have everybody come out, and we'll get a similar shot of everyone's car so that people can go on the website and see what paints guys will be running for the upcoming season. Also, what we'll do is we'll take the opportunity to take a couple really cool group shots, which hopefully if people want printed, they can have printed through Sim Posters. Try to get some business over there for John as well. So, yeah, it should be a fun event.
Well, again, we really enjoy the relationship, and looking forward to being back on the track with you here in just a little over a month. And we'll talk to you soon. Again, great job with the league, George. Couldn't be any more happier for you. It's grown to something really amazing, and I think it's going to even go far beyond that as we get into season 3. Thanks again, George.
Appreciate that, and certainly it's definitely been a team effort with the other admins. We've been working so well together and creatively just coming up with more ideas every day to try to make the league even more better than what it is now. So thanks again, Sean.
All right, George. Evan, I'm going to hand it back to you, buddy, and let's go ahead and wrap this big show up for the evening. What do you think?
It was a season that, began with a lot of, questions, because a series that starts up, Sean, there's infinite numbers of leagues on the iRacing service. Not easy, to be able to get your name out there and grow. And I'm still using that. My only claim to fame is that I do have a top 10 in this series, and it was season 1, race 1, and I gave up, and I went back to doing what I do better, and that is pretending to know what I talk about and joining you up here. And it was fun to be a part of this. I'm happy that, Sean, we got the permission, or we were selected to be on the broadcast crew. It was very exciting, all the way from Michigan back in January to get things kicked off with the Triple Crown event. There were a couple of races that we weren't even initially scheduled for. We got to bring the GSRC cameras back out, and I'll tell you, Jesse Vincent going back to back on the championships is going to leave a lot of guys hungry for next month.
Yes, sir. I think it is. I really think you're going to see the level of competition really rise from season 2 to season 3. I think you're going to see a big difference. I mean, we just witnessed a really great season, a very competitive season, and it's going to get better. And I think as it gets better, you're going to see more people drawn to it. We're going to probably set records for people coming in to watch these races. And I just, again, couldn't be any happier for George and the guys there at LionHeart. They work so hard behind the scenes to prepare and to bring us these great races every week. I don't know of any series that puts in as many practice hours as a group like these guys do. Really, really hardcore stuff. Think back to the Iron Butt Challenge that they had going earlier this season, and we had guys literally turning 72 to 96 hours worth of laps leading up to an event. I mean, that's just a lot of time to spend practicing for one race in one given series. So the dedication shines through, and so does the talent. And really looking forward to seeing more of that here in season 3, Evan.
All the drivers that make this league possible as well, all of the people at LionHeart. We've talked to a couple of them. Again, need to give a huge thanks to George Anzaldo, Joe Hassert, Justin Laxton, and everybody else behind the scenes making the schedule, which, by the way, is quite an exciting one. You can check that out at LionHeartRacingSeries.com for Season 3. All of the drivers again, and as well our sponsors, Sim Posters, coming back on board for Season 2. They were with us last season. John Downing and his gang for providing high-quality printing services that specialize in high-resolution prints from screenshots within the sim. Through them, you can get a nice picture of your race car up on your wall at home. And as well, Justin Laxton broke the news to us. We got some breaking news on GSRC. It is going to be Overdrive Graphics, title sponsor for Season 3 of the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Overdrive Graphics providing iRacing paint schemes, apparel designs, including t-shirts, hats, driver uniforms, as well as the most cost-effective 2D and 3D motorsports renderings. You can find them at Overdrive GRFX on Twitter, as well as a good number of the cars in the field out here have been painted up by him and his group. So make sure to give support to Overdrive Sim Posters. And again, thank you to the LionHeart gang for coming to us, Sean, for bringing us their coverage. We're happy to be a part of it. And I'm sure you're looking forward to Season 3 as much as I am. We had a big streak there late in the year where we didn't have the TV cameras out. We got 2 very exciting races to kick it off, and it's going to be a long month till we get to the 22nd.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna feel like forever. Honestly, I'm sitting here thinking back through the season. I can't believe that 6 months have already gone by, that this season is over. I mean, it really does seem like last week we just kicked this series off, and here we are. We're at the end of the season where we're talking about Season 3, and my level of excitement is tenfold what it was going into last season. I really can't wait to see what Season 3 is going to bring, and these new drivers coming in, see what kind of talent they bring to the pool. I mean, this is exciting stuff. This is a very competitive league, and again, I can't speak enough about the hard work these guys put in to maintain this league. George and Joe and Justin doing some great work behind the scenes to keep this running. Congratulations to the LionHeart Racing Series and everybody involved with it.
And rumor is that Mr. Sean Ambrose is going to trade the microphone in for a steering wheel in the LionHeart IndyCar Series All-Star Race. Although we won't have the cameras, we'll make sure to note how that excursion goes. Maybe I'll join you out there, Sean, when we get back going at the end of the July for Season 3 getting rolling. As well as everybody behind the scenes at the leagues, there's a lot of people that power the Global Sim Racing channel that make all of this possible. Do need to thank all of the companies and corporations involved in getting the streaming equipment for us and making that possible. First off, the iRacing.com sim such a great platform. If you're not a member, go to iRacing.com and make that happen. XSplit for free and easy live streaming and recording, the Audio Technica Corporation, and Aver Media USA. Additional thanks to our camera sets, as always, that are provided by Dougie Beard, and our music that is provided by Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. You can find them on the splash screen right there, all of their information. Make sure to support them as well. Stay up to date with everything GSRC online at the GlobalSimRacingChannel.com, through our Twitter at GSR Channel, and through Facebook and social media at Facebook.com/GlobalSimRacingChannel. Although LionHeart's done for a month and some change, we got a lot more action coming up, from short tracks to sports cars and some stock car racing, Sean. So if people want to get their sim racing fix in, GSRCP is the place to be.
This week on the Global Sim Racing Channel, Saturday, June 13th, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the return of the Bootleg Racing League Outlaw Modified SK Series Round 9 at South Boston Speedway. On Monday, June 15th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the AMG Sports Car Challenge Round 5 at Road Atlanta. And then on Wednesday, June 17th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the American Sim Racing Series AMSOIL Truck Series goes to Round 11 at Iowa Speedway. That will be an exciting race. Always have a full field for the ASRS. Look forward to seeing that one next week on the Global Sim Racing Channel, Evan.
And Season 3 registration and recruiting is open. If you want to be out on the racetrack and be with us next time, not only tuning in, but be out there on track with these guys, registration is open for Season 3 of the LionHeart IndyCar Series. Go to LionHeartRacingSeries.com for more information on that. And if you register before July 1st, so before the end of the month, you are eligible to run in the All-Star event, and you can also have a chance to win your entry fee paid, and tab is on the house for Season 3, so make sure to go to LionHeartRacingSeries.com, not only for registration, but all the info as well. And then again, our partners at Race Chaser Online, at racechaseronline.org, and iRacing at iRacing News, with iRacing.com/iRacing News for all the information and whatnot. Until then, that wraps things up here from the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. Not under the lights tonight. We got a new build, and these drivers may do 29 strong. Put on a show in the Big Joe Cam 250. In the end, Joe Hassert is your winner. But on behalf of everybody that has been in the GSRC booth, all the way from last season's finale and all the way through this one, on behalf of all our directors that made the show work and made us sound good. Tonight I'm Jed Yaman for doing all of his work, and behalf of everybody else that has been up on the microphone this year, on behalf of myself, Evan Posoko, and Sean Ambrose, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to keep up to date. Congratulations to Jesse Vincent. He is a back-to-back champion. We will see you in Homestead, Miami. Season 3 gets kicked off in just a little over a month. We'll see you then.